Can we talk about managing relationships in times of crisis? I don't even shout to the boy, shout to everybody over there. Drake crashes out on the Steak CEO. You talk about the power of relationship. We got to put a multiple on this. I don't want to make it solely about him, but in light of the UMG situation, can you talk about how it's important to keep good relationship even when the business terms may not be favorable or you're trying to renegotiate? Because I think this is a tactic that is done in our community a lot, to have bad breakups or bad business separations, but it may cost you 15x down the line. My boys had a tough 2 years. Prayers to you, shout to everybody over there. But
can you give some context? Because I'm not 100%. I know he has. Yeah, can you get some context?
He had a deal with Steak. He's trying to renegotiate. And he made the analogy. We talked about this. He said, well, if Steak is the Warriors, I'm Steph Curry. I'm putting up points on the board. And he's driven the valuation of Stake Up, which is a gambling app and site. But he's going to renegotiate, once again, one in equity or a bigger equitable position. And the CEO said, no. How would you handle it if you drive value, you go to renegotiate, and you get told no?
And he did this on Instagram. He announced it
on a stream.
On a stream.
They called him a goof.
A goof.
Shout out to the boy. But
from my understanding, I think he had $100 million deal, something crazy like that with Steak.
I thought it was 150, but let's say 100.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean,
but if you're seeing a person, and this what accounting pockets and measuring what happens, if you see the valuation go up to 5 or 6 billion and it's projected to maybe be worth 15 in 8 or 9 years, while he's fighting for his masters at UMG, now you have 2 demons to slay. I think it's a mistake in how you handle these negotiations and going at about it in such a crass way when it hasn't worked before for you in UMG. I mean, Lucian just basically told all the tea in a little deposition that came out about how much they invested. Like, that's done to restructure and reposition. But for all the entrepreneurs watching tonight, can we tell them that's not the way to go?
Yes, it's not.
There's other ways to negotiate your value and get equity.
Well, because the thing about it is, where do we go from here? If he has derogatory things to say about the CEO, what's the lever? Like, I'm assuming the CEO, they like, okay, we're not going to give you what you asked for because we don't think that is worth it. That's what it comes down to, right?
Or it may be worth it, and I just don't want to give you my fucking equity. That's the other part of the dark side of entrepreneurship. If you don't get the equity in the beginning, you're probably not going to get it later.
So Troy put in chat, if Stakes is the Warriors, I'm Steph Curry, we win chips for the last how many years? The owners get rich as fuck and make us run suicides after practice still. Eat granola bars for meals and take the Greyhound bus to games. Fucking goofianos. I mean, honestly, I love Drake. But if that is the situation, how he just described it, that's his fault. Because it's not like he came into it as a struggling artist. Mm-hmm. He came into this deal as Drake.
As probably towards the end of the peak. Yep.
So he had all the power to negotiate whatever he wanted from the jump. Mm-hmm. Why would you go for a bad deal when you're already Drake?
We're not going to say $100 million is a bad deal, but to give in the context of the situation, I totally understand what you mean. And also, whatever tier you enter as, especially on the investment grade side, you're not going to surpass that. So if you came in accepting 200, 150, and you didn't get any non-dilutable shares, they're not going to give it to you after. Because if you're the catalyst to drive the value up, and I'm looking to off-sell this, it messes up my cap table to then give you equity.
But then also he brought up a point where he said that he's Steph Curry. I don't even know if that's a good comparison because nobody's bigger than the team. An NBA player, no matter how
Oh,
valuable they are, they've never got ownership in the team.
bro, that's true.
Right? You could be the greatest player in the world. You're gonna get $100 million contract, $200 million contract, but eventually you're going to not be valuable anymore because your playing career is going to come to an end, and then we're going to get somebody else. So if he's comparing himself to a player,
that's a bad analogy from the very beginning.
Yeah, the owner's always going to make more than a player, and a player is never valuable enough to have ownership in the company, in the team, because a player's lifespan is going to end.
Or it's structured that way from the beginning to allow you to lose before you can even get a chance and the leverage to win. Ironically, business lesson, you need to buy the equity when your value is lower. Because the threat is if you get equity now as Drake and we gave you 100 million, because of your presence and Q score and brand power, you can probably hostile take over my company. They don't want hostility in those cap tables. You have to do it when you're coming off as Meek. The way Kendrick is playing it ever since he had caught that victory and lining up his partnerships is being done pretty well. So for all my entrepreneurs, like, and also too, if you're of a brand of that magnitude, if they won't give it to you, gravitate to a partner who will. He could have went and did something at Kick or one of the other streaming platforms for sure and had some value there. But they could have found a little gambling company in Turks. Be right at Grace's Bay and got 22%. If you don't get equity in something and you help build it, that is your fault, your mistake. I definitely hope he learns from it. But for the entrepreneurs tonight, you have to get equity or not be involved from the beginning. You can't ask for it later.
No, you can't.
It's like, okay, you're building your house done, then you meet somebody and they're like, well, I want half. It's like, you didn't pick out no basic boards for me. No chandelier. It's too late. House already constructed. Don't build a house that you don't own in terms of business. But shout out to the boy.
Shout out to Drake.
Hey, boy called me. My Lord. And two, you can upset a lot of these people and they start to erode your counsel around you too. Be careful. It's a lot of money. The same way Lucian invested into that brand growing, he's investing a lot of money in the de-acceleration of that brand as well.